Got a question here about TRAC. This one says, why has TRAC evolved the way it has? For example, why do you no longer include the spacebar tap test and the reaction time test? Why do you include the orthostatic test if you say it does not factor heavily into the results? And what's coming for the future of TRAC, and when might that be user-facing? Cool question. Thanks for asking a question. I get to talk about our systems and stuff that's exciting, to me at least. Well, some of the old tests have gone away. The tap test and the reaction time test, for example, those have gone away just as we look and see what results matter. What's the most reliable way to capture the data that we're trying to capture? What's most consistent, takes the less time, is easiest to comply with. So a couple things, the tap test and the reaction time test, they were invasive in the sense that you had to do them near a computer, you had to do them in a specific time, it had to be done in a certain way, and even the kind of computer you were doing it from mattered. So, if you changed your keyboard or you got a new computer, well, that threw off some of the results, So there were some obstacles with using those tests. And then also, just as things grew and evolved, it's like, well, what do we really want to know from these tests? And is there any other way to capture it? And as it turns out, there is. And that's kind of how TRAC has evolved, And as far as the orthostatic test, we still include it now, but it's an option. It's not something that you have to do. If you prefer to just do the subjective questionnaires, that's fine. And in fact, that's what I do personally. Now, as far as the future, we intend to replace the orthostatic test with HRV. Now, keep in mind also the origins of TRAC, where the orthostatic test came from. HRV was not widely available. It was not inexpensive. HRV was very much a thing that was for sporting agencies and sports science, but not, power lifter level, consumer level use generally. But that's pretty much changed entirely now, and pretty much anybody that wants to have access to HRV has it. So HRV is just an all-around better measure for the things that we're trying to measure than the orthostatic heart rate test is. So over time, we've focused our testing on the things that matter the most in terms of the results. What are we trying to measure? We're trying to measure the athlete's fatigue, how they're recovering, and things like that. So we've shifted our focus onto these subjective questionnaires as they seem to capture the essence of what we're trying to know. The orthostatic heart rate test is still useful, but it will be made more useful when we shift away from orthostatic and go with HRV instead. When will that happen? I hesitate to put an exact date on it, but it will be measured in probably months from now. Not too many. We have a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of projects that we're working on, but that's getting to be pretty high up on the list. So in the coming months, you should see TRAC move to an HRV test instead of an orthostatic test. And we plan to make use of other HRV tests that are available as well. Really what we try to do with TRAC is to take the data that you have and aggregate it and tell you what to do with it in a way that's useful for you. So at any rate, that's kind of where TRAC has come from, where it's going, and a little bit of why. So again, I appreciate the question.